9 years after the last proper Batman Arkham game, Rocksteady's jumping back into the DC universe with Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. The same universe, but totally different gameplay. Suicide Squad is an open-world co-op looter shooter. For those on the fence about Rocksteady's latest, or for those who want to absorb every bit of information they can before release, here's everything we know about Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. Set 5 years after the events of Batman Arkham Knight, Kill the Justice League has us leave Gotham City for the first time and instead takes us to Superman's stomping grounds, Metropolis. If you're even remotely familiar with the Suicide Squad concept, you know the basic drill. Shadowy government agent Amanda Waller has tasked a handful of DC villains to save the world in exchange for a reduced prison sentence. Any bad guy who dares step out of line will promptly be fined 1 head for their disobedience, courtesy of a bomb planted in their necks. And the stakes couldn't possibly be higher. After being deployed into Metropolis, which developers say is twice the size of Arkham Knight's Gotham, our ragtag group of villains finds that the city is under siege from a mighty intergalactic force in the form of Brainiac and his endless purple armies. Even worse, he's brainwashed most of the Justice League, including Batman, Green Lantern, The Flash, and even Superman. The only way to stop Brainiac? Well, you'll never believe this, but somehow, someway, you have to kill the Justice League. Suicide Squad will be released with 4 characters that, in single-player mode, you can swap between as much as you like. Or if you know only one of them appeals to you, Rocksteady says that you can alternatively play the full game as just that one character. Player expression is a core tenet of Suicide Squad, so while each character has certain baseline abilities, you'll have plenty of room to shape and mold them to your preferred playstyle. The most recognizable face is undoubtedly Harley Quinn, the acrobatic clown woman with a thing for explosions. She packs her signature baseball bat, but managed to nab 2 of Batman's gadgets as well. With her bat drone and grapnel gun, she can swing like Spider-Man from pretty much anywhere, and even rain down bullets while suspended in the air. She also kind of has a big thing for explosives, so you can expect her talent tree to give plenty of buffs to her grenades. Next up is Deadshot, the gunman who never misses, making his Arkhamverse debut. No, I'm not gaslighting you. The expert marksman named Deadshot that you saw multiple times in past Arkham games is totally unrelated from the expert marksman named Deadshot that you'll be taking control of in Kill the Justice League. Yeah, Rocksteady has seemingly implied that the Deadshot from past games was actually an imposter all along. Even in a fictional world, that has to be the mother of all coincidences, but there's a possible in-universe explanation that we'll get to later. In any case, Deadshot is built around precision, with the best long-range game of any launch character. His jetpack, formerly belonging to the character Gizmo, gets him a vantage point from virtually anywhere, and you'll find lots of critical hit and counter talents in his talent tree. Then we have King Shark, the quintessential tank that you've gotta have in any group. He absorbs damage the best out of anybody in the starting roster, and he specializes in dishing out even more. Shark looks to be highly reminiscent of Hulk from that Ultimate Destruction game that you loved renting in 2005, complete with incredibly high jumps, multiple air dashes, and earth-shattering ground slams. If you can look past his enormous strength and insatiable taste for blood, he's also naive and all in all good-natured when compared to those he rolls with. In other words, he's a lot like Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy. In fact, from all the preview materials that we've reviewed, he's almost exactly Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy.
What are you doing, mate? I'm smiling.
King Shark's talent tree will generally boost his melee attacks, such as causing enemies to bleed for an additional 50% damage, or sacrificing damage for extended close quarters range. And finishing off our launch roster is Captain Boomerang, who Rocksteady has described as the most well-rounded of the group. With the Speed Force gauntlet he yoinked from the Hall of Justice, he excels at dashing in for close range hits and zipping back out for ranged shots. He can also live up to his namesake by throwing one of his boomerangs to effectively create a point in space for him to automatically teleport directly to. Combined with double jumps, he can spend a good amount of time in the air, but he seems best suited to keeping most of his combat grounded. Post-launch, Rocksteady will be expanding the squad with DLC characters as well. First up is confirmed to be The Joker. Is there a lore reason for him showing up even after dying off in 2011's Arkham City? Yes, there is. But again, more on that later. As the Joker, you'll float through the air and skim across skyscrapers using his rocket-powered umbrella, deliver punch lines with his grappling hook crowbar, and even get to peel back the emotional and psychological layers of this clown prince of crime the more that the rest of your teammates get to know him. Rumors also point to Mr. Freeze, Deathstroke, Killer Croc, and Katana potentially showing up as well, but as always with rumors, please hype responsibly. And if we can get speculative for a second here, corporate synergy might nudge the roster to include even more characters from the movies, like Polka Dot Man, Peacemaker, Ratcatcher, or Bloodsport. Whether you like it or not, Kill the Justice League is a live service game, so you're encouraged to play for as long as possible. While characters can level up infinitely, once one of them hits level 30, you unlock squad talents. In essence, these are upgrades for the team, not just for individuals, and you get more of them as you pile on the character levels. It bears repeating that much of the spirit of Kill the Justice League is found in creating unique character builds. You can rebuild your talent trees at almost any time you want and can save 8 loadout slots, so experimentation is very much encouraged. The Social Squad feature even lets you incorporate character builds made by other players, like friends or even streamers that you follow. And if somebody else uses your character, you will earn a slice of the loot that they earned in that other player's session. Speaking of loot, the weapons you earn from completing missions will play a major role in how you make your character your own. After a year-long effort by Rocksteady, the controversial gear score system has been removed, so rest assured that that neat weapon you found early on won't be totally obsoleted deeper into the game. Early on, you'll forcibly recruit none other than the Penguin to be your resident arms dealer. Through him, you'll purchase new assault rifles, pistols, sniper rifles, shotguns, SMGs, and heavy weapons, with each squad member having proficiency with 3 of those gun types. Now, the gear score may be gone, but gear tiers are still in the game, with rarity classes being ranked common, uncommon, rare, epic, legendary, notorious, and infamous. According to the Discord Q&A, common through epic increase in power in the number of possible augments available, but legendary, notorious, and infamous is when we really turn up the heat. Legendary weapons come with unique augments that set them apart from the lower tiers in a pretty meaningful way. Just as a couple examples, the Cooler is a sniper rifle that freezes enemies on crits. Combo meal guns let you use your combo-locked talents as soon as you land a crit, and Bang trades all of your grenades for a single one that pretty much functions as a mini nuke in terms of damage and blast radius. Notorious and Infamy weapons are themed after DC villains, not just in the way they look, but through gameplay as well. These are going to refocus the way you play, and if you want to maximize their capabilities, you'll probably want to consider making them the focal point of your character build. For example, this gun themed after Bane spawns power-ups on critical hits that enhance your other weapons with Bane's Rage. Again, you're free to mix up your talents without any kind of risk, so don't be afraid to swap out your skill sets to really get the most out of that cool gun you just found. Now, guns are one thing, but you'll of course be able to give Brainiac's minions a smack all up close and personal like. What the Penguin does for guns, Toyman will do for melee weapons. And Ivy, when you unlock her as a support character, will imbue those weapons with up to 2 simultaneous Afflictions. Afflictions seem to be your standard elemental attacks, like fire, ice, electricity, and poison, but they're named after different DC characters to keep them more on theme with the source material. Diablo Blaze ignites enemies for continuous damage, Deep Freeze will turn them into solid ice for extra bullet damage, Livewire Bolt looks like it temporarily stuns them with electricity, and so on and so forth. Just because you can zip around the city on foot with respectable agility doesn't mean that vehicles won't also have their place. Gizmo will be your go-to for airdropping vehicles, like this flying gunship that rains down bullets and rockets to wipe out interdimensional threats that much easier. And I do say interdimensional pretty intentionally here because Kill the Justice League's endgame revolves heavily around the multiverse. With Elseworlds, you'll jump to different alternate universes which have all been torn asunder in their own ways. Briefly shown are versions of Metropolis and beyond, ravaged by tornadoes, ice, and even the Joker. Yes, the playable Joker mentioned earlier actually comes from an alternate universe, allowing the Arkhamverse lore to remain intact while letting Warner Bros. Cash in on any character they want anyway. The Joker represents the model Rocksteady wants to follow for their DLC in the future. Each season of content will be heavily themed after a DC villain and will consist of 2 story episodes. And for those of you tired of the FOMO aspect of live games, fear not, I hear you, and Rocksteady does too. Episodes are not time-limited events, but rather they're permanent additions to the game that you can go back and replay anytime you want to. While you're not jumping through the multiverse, you can also take on new mission types. In Incursion, your squad is brought to Brainiac's turf to fight through his armies and his ship's tentacles. These are designed to be relatively quick sessions in comparison to the other mission type, Killing Time. These will be a lot like the classic horde modes that you've seen in other games. As you clear out bad guys, they become increasingly frantic. All the while, Brainiac's ship will continuously beat down the shield protecting you. As you kill enemies, the shield replenishes. And lastly, what would character customization be without some good old cosmetics thrown in for good measure? Some character costumes will be exclusive to the in-game store, but rest assured that the only additional paid content currently planned starts and ends with cosmetic features. All future characters and missions will come completely free of charge. One thing that's clear is that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is aiming for a different audience than the game series that it repeatedly likes to remind us that it shares a connection with. But with so much detail poured into the world, characters, story, and player expression, maybe those willing to keep an open mind will find this a worthy return to the Arkhamverse. Or looter shooter fans might fall in love with Suicide Squad immediately, without any concern for Rocksteady's past games. A multiverse of possibilities lies in store when Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League launches on February 2nd. So let us know in the comments where your hype level currently lies. And for everything else Suicide Squad, you know what to do. Keep it right here on IGN.
Harley, no!
Worth it.